Hi, this is Chandu Guntakala. I'm a president and CEO Anuta Networks. I really want to thank Tom, Greg, and everybody here for giving this opportunity so that we can expose our technology to our potential customers and experts like you and our partners and some of the vendors who are basically trying to help their customers with this kind of technology solutions. This is another exciting day for us with so much enhanced functionality where it can really impact the large enterprise as well as the tier 1 service provider customers. Okay, so this is the agenda for today. I'm going to talk about the overview of the company and provide the Anuta Atom, which we recently released, and some of the customer case studies and the Anuta Atom deployment specs as well, and how the customers are going to deploy and how automated it is, things like that. Then we will go through the demo of the product. So this is about overview. What we are trying to deliver here is Anuta Atom delivers the closed loop automation. When I say closed loop, basically it takes care of provisioning the multi-vendor infrastructure and collect the data from network state information and understand and enable administrator to take the remediation action using our model-driven infrastructure. Okay, and this technology works the cross-domain networking, which include branch, campus, data center, and MPLS networks. And our target customers include as I mentioned earlier, the large enterprises, MSPs, CSPs, and tier 1 service provider customers. Okay, and we have a number of production customers across geographies. We have production customers in North America, production customers in Japan, production customers in Australia, and production customers in Europe. So we are basically helping our customers with the automation for cross-domain networking across geographies. Okay, so I really want to talk about the business challenges to the customers. So when you talk to the large enterprises and service provider customers, they have different networking domains. If you look at any large financial banks, any service providers, they have thousands of branches and hundreds of campuses and MPLS backbone networks. Okay, and mobile packet core. So different networks. And in each layer, they are deploying infrastructure from different vendors like Cisco, Juniper, F5, Palo Alto. And the third thing is, when they are scaling up, they are looking for, flexible deployment options. So this is what Atom is going to address. So basically, Atom delivers the single pane of glass for cross-domain networking. Atom delivers pluggable infrastructure to support multi-vendor infrastructure. And Atom delivers the assurance to enable customers to build the network-aware applications and enable them to provision the infrastructure appropriately. And the fourth one is it enables them to deploy with a deployment flexibility. This can be deployed in the public cloud or the private cloud. Okay, and I talked about the business challenges, multi-vendor, multi-domain, brownfield, and the massive scale. They are talking about 500,000 to 1 million devices, the large enterprises and the service providers. And technical complexity, they have different data, config and operational data, and streaming telemetry. And they also want auto heal and auto scale. And Anuta Atom takes care of this complexity and the business challenges with a microservices architecture to scale up to support this large scale networks. And this supports basically, this is deployed through Kubernetes cluster. So that way, these microservices can be managed, deployed easily, and completely automated. So we want to bring down the complexity of deploying Atom itself, because this is so much advanced functionality. Okay? So these are the main pillars of Anuta Atom. So when you look at the market space, there are technologies which just addresses only the branch deployments, branch provisioning, or only data center provisioning. So, but when it comes to Anuta Atom, we are delivering cross-domain networking. So basically, we enable customers to deploy, automate, provide assurance across domains. So they can use this platform and build applications which can automate branches, campuses, and SD-WAN deployments, and any other Tier 1 SP mobile packet core automation and assurance. Okay? And the second pillar is collection of data. We do collect the data like SNMP, syslog, NetFlow, streaming telemetry, so that administrators and correlate that data. Once we collect, we correlate the data and provide those KPIs and dashboards to the administrator. They can take appropriate remediation action and provision the multi-vendor infrastructure. Okay? And the third one is basically analytics. So once we collect these analytics from different sources of the infrastructure, we basically put them into a time series database, and we basically enable administrators to write the or display the customizable reports using the IDS language, which is our own proprietary. So that means they can analyze the data, and based on their needs, they want to see data for certain location, certain region, and they want to see the port statistics in a given location, or certain types of devices, or certain number of regions, things like that. So Anuta Atom basically delivers the model-driven automation and assurance and analytics, and we address the 4 pillars, basically automation, assurance, and analytics. The 4th pillar is we enable administrators to write the customizable dashboards on their own without depending on Anuta, with the data we have.
Question. So the time series database is part of the Anuta offering, or is that a separate tool that we can use?
So basically, we work with the third-party commercial time series database. Okay. So basically some of the stack, which basically supports the web scale infrastructure. When you are looking at billions of events and millions of transactions, and in a microservices architecture, so we need to use the third-party and a proven stack like a Kafka and time series databases, which are commercially available, so that we can focus on the innovation and the technology where we need to focus.
But when the system is deployed, we have to stitch all these pieces together, or is it automatically done?
So it's automatically done, and that is in the next slide. So basically, we use Docker registry to deploy our microservices components. Okay, and GitLab for deploying other SDK and other applications and software stack. So we want to take out that complexity. When we hand off this automation, and customers clicks on a button, and it automatically deploys the complete Atom with a number of software components.
So I have one more. You said about the fact that the time series database is a commercial product. Can we ask you which is it? Is it InfluxDB, Prometheus?
Correct.
InfluxDB?
Yeah.
And then you said that this whole microservices architecture is delivered on Kubernetes. How do you deal with, so is it available for customers who already have their Kubernetes environment and platform ready? So can you run on a third party, say, or in the customer's managed own Kubernetes deployment?
So we use Helm so that these microservices can be deployed on the existing Kubernetes infrastructure, or they can have a clean install using our automation for Atom itself.
That's a very nice thing, I think.
Okay, any questions on this?
Do you find, like, this is somewhat foreign to normal networking people? When I say normal, I mean, the usual subhumans that we have around us. Like these people. When you present this to customers who are sort of new to orchestration automation, do they get this?
Actually, we are getting very, very great, strong positive feedback from every customer, from all the large enterprises We are talking to some of the financial customers, some of the customers in the entertainment industry. They are large enterprises,
Yeah.
and the tier 1 service providers.
Right. So you're talking about the big customers, which are the ones you talk to, I'm sure. But I'm thinking more about your mid-sized market, where your sales reps are out there in the field promoting this to customers, say at conferences and stuff. Do people get model-driven automation as an idea yet?
Yes.
So yeah.
Yeah. They really like the closed-loop automation part. They're very excited compared to the provisioning. Now, with closed-loop automation, they can see why they need to provision the network. Earlier, somebody will say, hey, go and provision this infrastructure, okay, based on these gold templates.
Yeah.
But now we are enhancing that functionality by providing additional data. Hey, this is the network state information. This is what you need to do, and these interfaces are going down,
Right.
or your SLAs are going to be impacted. So you may want to take this remediation action. So they really like that part. That means they are getting the full control on their network infrastructure with the closed loop automation and assurance.
So closed loop automation is not something we've seen today. You would, in my mind at least, would you class that as your key competitive advantage then? You know, I see this as a problem, I'll just go and fix it for you.
So the key competitive advantage, as I mentioned earlier, there are technologies which are focusing on a specific domain, which could be branch, which could be data center,
Yep.
or which could be optical automation, optical layer automation. So when it comes to Anuta, the competitive advantage is this is not a controller. This is a platform. So once they have customers and partners, they have access to this platform. They don't need to depend on Anuta to add any plugin for a vendor device,
Right.
or to build a new application that becomes a plugin, and to develop a customizable dashboard.
So I don't need to, I've bought a new thing that's just come into the market and I want to deploy it at the edge of my network, some IoT device, whatever. I can just go into Anuta and model that myself.
Yes.
I don't need to go and pay you or wait for you.
Nope. We don't need to know
Yeah.
what you are adding, what kind of vendor plugin you are adding.
But you're doing the models for a lot of common devices.
Yeah.
I don't want to give the sense that, I have to model everything that's in my network, which was the way some vendors did it. You've done the bulk of the modeling.
Correct.
But if I want to do some customized, I've got a unique device or something that's not mainstream, I can build my own model and add it to the platform.
Yeah. Today we support 45 plus vendors, and basically we hand off that SDK and plugins to all of our customers and partners. So they can look at those models and start adding any plugins they want, which could be device plugin or application plugin. Okay. The other competitive advantage is, when somebody moves from 50,000 devices to 100,000 devices, when it comes to automation and assurance. In earlier days, basically, instead of deploying one NMS system or one automation system, now they may have to go for 3 management systems. Okay, that means they are adding 300% resources of NMS system. So with microservices architecture, when you go from 10,000 devices to 300,000 devices, you don't need to add all the functionality. You don't need to double up or add 300%.
So certain buy another vendor management platform and try and sideways integrate it.
Yeah. Certain microservices, you just basically add another 10 microservices to support that scale. And you don't need to add everything. So that is an advantage with microservices architecture.
Just because I bought a load balancer doesn't mean I have to go back to my SDN vendor and say, can you integrate this load balancer into your platform?
Yeah.
And wait for them to form a partnership and then do the testing and the feature.
Yeah. So basically, I just want to summarize the competitive advantage, the scalable microservices architecture, and we are leading this space with the microservices architecture. And the second one is closed loop automation. Third one is basically single pane of glass for cross-domain network assurance and automation. Okay, and the fourth one is enabling the admins to display the customizable dashboards on their own using our IDS language. Okay.
So you're not focusing on any particular realm. You don't care whether it's data center, service provider, enterprise, whatever. You just do it all.
No. Yeah, we do everything.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. And this is one of the closed loop automation, basically BGP neighbor flapping. So what Atom does is, Atom enables administrators to define the policy and then start collecting the telemetry or syslog and SNMP data and correlate using our automation engine. Like if the interface is being flapped 4 times or 10 times and 15 times, based on whatever administrator defines, if it crosses certain number of times, or bring down the interface automatically, or send an alarm to the administrator so that he can take appropriate action, or enabling other ports, or configuring something else, or take care of that action. This is how basically there are a number of closed loop automation use cases. We have been getting a lot of feedback from the customers, like a fiber cut use case, BGP, interface flapping. There are so many use cases. Okay.
Are you going to give an example of this? Are you going to like demo?
It will be part of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
then, sorry, one more question on that BGP example. So does it matter which vendor, or you support many vendors?
As soon as it is supported on the Atom platform, that is taken care.
Okay. And then you have slides of the vendors that you support
Yeah.
today.
Now,
Okay.
do you support multi-tenancy in the sense of having?
Correct.
Okay.
So this supports the cloud-ready deployment, and in fact, at this scale, we are the only one who announced the SaaS model to the industry. So with the SaaS, basically, multi-tenancy is defaulting.
Could you just clarify, I saw on 3 slides, telemetry, streaming telemetry, and telemetry. Could you just clarify that for me, what's included in what you're classifying as streaming telemetry or telemetry?
So the information coming from the devices through the gRPC, that's what we are calling as streaming telemetry. And the historical support that we have for SNMP, SNMP trap, syslog, that is a more traditional telemetry. It's not real time. So we support both of those as a part of the product.
Okay. So as I mentioned earlier, this is about our architecture, okay, which supports millions of devices, and layered and model-driven architecture, which provides assurance and analytics. Today we support 45 plus vendors. So if you look at the architecture, this is basically integrates with the multi-vendor infrastructure using the southbound standard interfaces, which could be SNMP, CLI, basically XML, anything we can talk to the infrastructure, okay, which can be integrated with the NMS controllers and vendor infrastructure, and it takes care of using this number of protocols like SNMP, syslog, AMQP, and collects all the configurational and operational data using telemetry. Okay, so this is completely microservices architecture, uses the web scale software components like Kafka, okay, and provides the northbound REST API interface so that it can be integrated with any OSS and the BSS portals. Okay, and in addition to that, we do provide the management for Anuta Atom itself. So we enable them to see what components are deployed and the health of the different components. That means the different microservices, and how they can auto scale some of the components on a need basis. Okay.
The Atom can be deployed on-prem or in cloud?
Correct.
Of course.
Public cloud or on-prem. Okay.
Promise of microservices.
And again, and we already benchmarked and we published some of the data into the internet. So, we published data for hundreds of thousands of devices from single pane of glass. Okay, from the single instance, because we want to give the full control and we want to avoid the synchronization issues when you're dealing with hundreds of thousands of devices which are deployed in different geographical locations.
What's the limit of the number of devices then? If you bring up hundreds of thousands, let's see how far you can go with it.
We tested with a few 100,000 devices because it's a horizontally scalable. We don't see any limitation. So when you need more, basically which scales horizontally.
Very good.
So this is the vendor list we support. We support 45 plus vendors. You can see the list of leading vendors like Cisco, Juniper, F5, Palo Alto. You can see every prominent vendor out there. Okay?
So when it comes to telemetry, if the vendor doesn't support telemetry, then how do you extract that information?
So whatever is available through SNMP and syslog messages.
Okay.
You know the basic telemetry we collect and we try to provide that assurance, closed loop assurance. Okay. This is the second list.
I noticed that you've got a number of VPCs on there, so you guys must be doing a lot of work in the mobile space and mobile backhaul space and LTE for orchestration and automation.
Correct. We started working with some of the tier 1 telcos, and basically we are actually adding number of use cases in that space as well.
What kind of orchestration and automation are they doing in that space?
Right now?
Yeah. What kind of things do they care about? I'm just curious.
Can you be specific?
Like with respect to like an LTE tower, what pieces are they managing the rollout of an LTE tower? Is that the orchestration and automation to provision a new tower, or I'm just curious what the use case is there.
So I can maybe provide a detailed description for some of those use cases offline.
Okay, sure.
But when I spoke to them, basically they want to automate the network infrastructure in the different domains, like L2 VPN enterprise services, L3 VPNs,
okay,
and campus and SD-WAN branches. In addition to that, they also want to automate the radio cells.
Okay.
So they want to see basically everything from single pane of glass.
Okay. Gotcha.
Okay.
Yep.
So this is one of our customers who deployed close to 10,000 sites, which is in production for the last few years. So from the single instance, and our Atom is basically geo distributed deployment in different continents, and this is where we are providing orchestration. And their network size basically for branch deployment is close to 200K devices. Okay, this really helps them to provision and automate and collect some of the telemetry from syslog messages and take remediation access on these thousands of branches. That's where we are automating in this production deployment. Okay, so this is another energy provider out of Australia. So basically, they are using Anuta Atom for automating L2 VPN and L3 VPN use cases. Okay. So this is another use case from global cloud exchange provider. So where they want to use Atom for primarily for the closed loop automation using telemetry and analytics. So they want to collect all the data, telemetry, analytics data from PSEP, SNMP, streaming telemetry, S-Flow, and performance monitoring, and they want us to correlate the data and provide actionable insights.
So it looks like in this model, I see the operational support system there on the left. So it looks like in this model, in the last decade or 20 years, telcos would use OSS to be a primary provisioning system for the network. So now you're sitting in the middle of it, and you're kind of acting as a broker for all of these different things, rather than relying solely on the OSS in this model, in the service provider model. Is that what's happening?
Correct. So
okay.
Basically, we become a mediation layer, and which will be integrated with their OSS and BSS portal.
Okay.
Okay, so this is basically benchmark data I really want to present, because we are the first one to really deliver this kind of microservices architecture, which can support the millions of devices. So this is the benchmark we have tested with simulated devices. I really want to present this data. This data, basically, we simulated this data case studies from world's largest IP network, and they have close to around 150,000 devices today with 25 circles and 5 million connections, and they have vendor infrastructure from Cisco, Juniper, Ciena, and Radware, and they have different domains which include access aggregation core and data center and mobile packet core. So this is the data, you can see it, and billions of atomic writes and millions of transactions and billions of events per day from that size of the network. So this is what Anuta Atom is looking at. This is the scale we are basically we want to support for our customers. Okay, and you can see the performance data, how long it will take for that scale of devices. It takes approximately 15 minutes to do the health check for 150,000 devices. So this is only possible because of the microservices architecture. When they really want to bring down the time, they just need to add more number of microservices to take care of that specific. So that way, they can meet their SLAs when the network anomalies happens, or when they want to really look into the specific activity while they're trying to monitor the infrastructure.
What's your measure for the number of devices that a node could handle, I guess? I mean, I'm sure you can have one node do 4 million devices and you just have to wait for 3 days.
There is a nothing called a node here. It's basically,
Okay.
we will keep on adding microservices.
Microservices, okay. So
Yeah.
I'm
So
sorry,
each service basically handles few thousand devices.
okay.
Yeah, but these services, it doesn't look like a node because they are sitting, running like a processor. So you keep adding these microservices and the scale will go up. Okay, there is a minimal footprint, and one of the Snehal question is it automated? So today the Atom deployment is automated. We really want to take out that complexity of deploying Atom with the large enterprise networks. So this can be deployed within 60 minutes, and we provide complete automation suite with all the SDKs and everything. It's a zero-touch Atom deployment.
So when you need to scale, when you need to expand horizontally, what does that look like? Like, who makes that decision, and how do you get from where you're at to the? I'm assuming it's all automated as well, but is it something that I have to manually go do, or is it something that you watch internally and?
So this is basically Kubernetes supported environment, and we provide that a system UI and a lot of reports on our UI itself. So administrators can look at it. When they want to scale up, it's basically completely automated.
Yeah, they just go in and say, we need to add this many more nodes.
Yeah, it automatically adds those nodes horizontally.
All right, but it's not something that you're doing dynamically on the fly. It's something you're going to make a decision about, and then...
Because it's a network. Yeah. We don't want to dynamically shoot something out.
That's why I'm asking, yes.
Yeah, we really want to give the full control to the administrators, even the remediation actions. We know what is happening. Most of the customers, they're really very excited about building network-aware applications, using the telemetry and streaming data and some of the analytics we deliver and provide some actionable insights on the network state. Okay? And we want to give that control so that administrators can take care of the action.
So in your scale-out architecture, because of your closed loop and your being able to respond to kind of events, I would imagine if there's some big event in the network and all of a sudden I just get flooded with logs, you're going to need to be able to spin up, lots of instances really quickly to be able to kind of handle that load and the analytics you're going to need to be able to respond to that. Is that kind of included today? That kind of auto scaling?
Yeah, we do use the Kubernetes autoscaler component. We report all of our KPIs as metrics so that the customers can decide to autoscale. And we also have autoscale built in, like based on CPU, memory, and some of the KPIs that we report. So it's going to be ultimately decided by the customer's expectation of throughput. And the throughput can be CPU-based, memory-based, or some of the KPIs we report for the individual functions. So we can autoscale if required. But at the same time, with respect to capacity planning, if at all you want to do something statically, static capacity planning, that is something that's viable too.
So this is the slide basically about supporting the existing Kubernetes environment. We do take care of that using the Docker registry to deploy some of our software components and take help from GitLab to deploy some of the SDKs and application plugins we deliver. So that is completely automated. That can be deployed, and we do provide some system UI dashboard so that they can understand how these microservices are doing and what is their health, and what need to be added, what need to be scaled down, and what need to be scaled up. Those things can be delivered here using the Ansible and the Terraform, Ansible, and also the Helm scripts. Okay, so in summary, this is what Anuta Atom delivers: the automation and assurance, and telemetry-based analytics, resource management. Okay, so. In summary, basically, this is the highly scalable microservices architecture, delivers single pane of glass for cross-domain networking, and gives the deployment flexibility. This can be deployed on-prem or any public cloud. And this is available through SaaS as well. So some of the SMBs can come to SaaS and start managing their networks. It's a closed-loop automation, so enables administrators to take appropriate remediation actions using our model-driven infrastructure in a multi-vendor environment.